With water, it's another situation where in Canada, you kind of wonder, and I thought it was interesting, Dan, that you said we're on a well, so that makes us think about conserving. Anybody else here in that situation where you're on a well? Great, okay. So I think that's a really good attitude. For those of us who are not on a well, are water expenditures rising? Are you finding that to be an issue?
Doubled.
Yes.
What's that, your water?
Doubled. Water bills have doubled since I bought my building 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to go higher. I think
Yeah.
most municipalities, that's my other job, is it's going to be raising between 6 and 9% for the next 20 years.
Yes.
Because I mean, does everybody at the end of their night, after everything's shut off, their dishwashers are closed, their taps are turned off, their whatever, and they're getting ready to go? Have you ever looked at your water meter?
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to do that every night before you leave, because if it's still spinning, you got a leak somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Something's happening. You're paying for that all night long while that thing's spinning around.
There's a restaurant in our municipality that didn't realize they had one toilet leaking. And it almost bankrupted the restaurant when he got his water bill. He couldn't believe it. But one toilet, they figure, was running for 3 months nonstop.
Oh.
One toilet. And he's actually moving. He's actually relocating because of it.
Isn't that incredible?
They're on a septic bed, that particular restaurant.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't believe it, how it impacted him that fast with one toilet.
Well, even just the dripping tap thing, I think there's 9,000 liters a year that's going down the drain if you continue to let that happen. So if you have a dripping tap somewhere throughout the entire year, it's a very expensive process.
And a good way to find it is just check that meter at the end of the day. When you think everything's off, is that meter spinning?
What is usually that meter?
Depends on where the
Your utility room should be.
utility room.
Probably they're doing it at home too then.
But you're going to need that for your baseline document, so you'll have to find that. And if you can't find it, call the water company and say, so where's my meter? It's kind of interesting. So why are we concerned about water? Again, Canada has a dismal record, 28th of 29th, again, in OECD countries. Each person in Canada uses about 1,600 cubic meters of water a year. That's 65% higher than the average for developed countries around the world. 2 times France, 3 times more than people in Germany, 4 times the people in Sweden, and 8 times the Danes. Countrywide consumption, so as an entire country, we're 26th out of 29th, and the only people who use more water as an entire country than we do are the US, Japan, and Mexico. So, this is not very good. And in fact, between 1980 and now, our water usage increased by 25%, whereas among other developed countries, it only increased by 4.5%. So we've gone kind of hog wild, and 9 of those nations of the 29 actually decreased their water use, including the US and the UK. So water is a significant issue. It's going to become more of one. So even just fully loading the dishwasher and using an Energy Star dishwasher, that's 25% less energy that you'll be using. So that's really important. And if you're a full-service restaurant, 50% of your hot water costs are coming from dishwashing, or largely from dishwashing. Gray water heat recovery system. Well, this is a different thing where you put it actually on the downspout of your dishwasher, and so it and it has a coil that wraps around that downspout, so that there's cold incoming water going through that coil, so that as the hot water goes down, it's heating the incoming water that's going into the dishwasher. Yes, that's right. And some utilities have been providing those as well. So, or talk to your water company, because there are places, I know when I was dealing with the housing folks, they were saying that if you went to companies like M.Ed or others, that they actually had those. You had to apply for them, but those were available as well. So that's important. And then you were talking about, so the low-flow pre-rinse spray nozzles for dishwashers. So how many people wouldn't have one of those right now? Does everybody have one of those? Yeah. So again, those are free. So you just have to phone up, the likes of Enbridge or whoever your gas or utility company is, and they'll get you one. And that just decreases the amount of water, and it could save you as much as $650 in energy consumption and $850 in water every year. We talked a little bit on page 5 about maintenance, dripping faucets. So that, the leaking tap, 9,000 liters a year, a running toilet, as much as 328,000 liters a year. So it's just huge. Installing low flow and faucet aerators. So is everybody using those in the kitchen, in the bathrooms? So they could decrease your water cost by as much as $100. And low flow toilets. Does everybody have low flow toilets? No? Who's using ice makers? Okay. And so are they air cooled or water cooled?
Air cooled.
Water cooled.
So water cooled ones are more expensive and worse for water conservation. Air cooled tend to work a bit better.
I've got it being recovered though.
Okay, all right. And what are you doing with the water? Just going back in, or?
Back in the ice.
Okay, good. So it's in a cycle. That's great. Okay, that's super. Okay, and I think that was it for water.